boys and girls, we're going to continue on with Ralph S. Mouse. All right, if you remember, he was about to go for a bike ride through the empty motel lobby. We'll see how he does. All of Ralph's little brothers, sisters, and cousins, hoping Matt would not notice them in the dim light, popped out from their hiding places to watch. Of course, Ralph had to show off. He took deeper breaths and rode faster, making paddles splash higher and leaving tiny tire tracks on the dry linoleum. Matt, who was banking the fire for the night, laid down the poker to enjoy the sight. Unfortunately, the little relatives were not satisfied. Not now. Once Ralph's indoor relatives had been happy to have Ralph push them up and down the halls on his motorcycle. But this treat was not enough for his rowdy outdoor relatives. They wanted to ride the motorcycle by themselves, so now all the mice wanted to ride. They came running and jumping across the threadbare carpet to the line and squealing, "I want to ride! Give me a turn! Come on, Ralph, get off and let us use it!" Ralph started to whiz around in figure 8 when his tires slipped and the motorcycle tipped. He lost control and landed in icy, dirty water. The daring outdoor mice waded out to grab the motorcycle, but Ralph was quick. Dripping and shivering, he sprang back on the seat and rode off, avoiding clutching paws. He thought he could make his relatives behave. "Go away, you're too little," said Ralph through chattering teeth as he swerved to miss tiny toes. "You would forget to hang on to your tails, and you get them tangled in my spokes." He tried to wipe his nose with his wet paw and wished mouse children had to go to bed at night like human children. "We would not." The Ruther mice grabbed the motorcycle and brought Ralph to a halt. "And you're not so big yourself. You fell down." All the mice began to complain. "You let us ride, or we'll tell your mother on you. She said you were supposed to give us a turn." Cousins closest to Ralph in age said it wasn't fair for Ralph to have a motorcycle. Nobody had ever given them motorcycles, and they were just as good as Ralph. Some of the meaner mice had told their mothers, said Ralph was spoiled and selfish. It would probably turn out to be no good when he grew up. Ralph was hurt. "I am not spoiled, and I am not selfish," he insisted, as he tried to drag his motorcycle away from one of those clutching paws. In his heart, he did not feel selfish. He only wanted something that was his alone. A mouse so rarely had something he'd call his own. "You're greedy," said cheeky outdoor mouse. Then all the mice, down to the littlest one who was tangled in the fringe of the carpet, began to chant, "Ralph is greedy, Ralph is greedy." Ralph finally lost his temper and squeaked at the top of his voice, "Beat it, you rotten little rodents." "Try and make us," the outdoor mice were defiant, but Ralph could tell they were not as brave as they pretended. Shocked and hurt by such strong language, the little indoor mice fell silent. They looked at Ralph with such sad eyes that Ralph was ashamed. "You said bad words," said one, his voice filled with reproach. "I'm going to tell on you," said another. "My mother wouldn't let you call me those words." Ralph felt terrible. "Oh, come on," he said. "It's just that my motorcycle is wearing out. The tires are thin, and if they wear out, where am I going to get another pair?" The little mice would not accept this excuse. "We've never had a motorcycle at all," one of them said. "I know, but," began Ralph, not knowing how to finish. It was not his fault his young relatives did not have motorcycles. Still, maybe he had used language too strong for little ears. He was only trying to make his pack of pushing, shoving, grabbing relatives behave. Matt must have understood Ralph's feelings, for he came to his rescue. "Shoo!" he said, loud enough to frighten the little mice, but not loud enough to terrify them. The words sent them scrabbling back to their hiding places. "Thanks," said Ralph. "Think nothing of it." Matt gave the fire one last poke before he retired for the night. He left the rapidly drying puddles for Ralph, who took another turn through them. Although water still fanned out from his wheels, somehow the fun had gone out of riding for that night. Wearily, Ralph pushed his motorcycle back to the cave under the rock where it was safe. Even though he was wet and numb with cold, he lovingly wiped mud and paw prints from his chrome spokes with bits of shredded Kleenex. When he began to wipe his exhaust pipes, he discovered they wiggled, loosened by all the tugging paws. The rear wheel shocker absorber was loose too. his mat, shooing away little mice. When Ralph had wiped all of the mud and had polished his chrome, he rummaged through the remains of his nest for a bit of carpet fringe. Unfortunately, it turned out to be too thick for tying his exhaust pipes in place. He felt worse and worse as he began to groom his damp fur. His ties were so thin he no longer wanted to risk the wear of riding them on the rough surface of the carpet. His motorcycle was wearing out. None of his relatives liked him. They were going to tattle on him. In the morning his mother would venture downstairs to lecture him on the evils of selfishness and bad language. She would also lecture him on his duty to set a good example for little mice. Ralph pushed his nest together again. I'm a bad mouse, he thought, filled with gloom and guilt. I am a rotten rodent. Not my relatives. As he climbed into his nest and curled up with his tail tight around his body, he wished he could leave the Mountain View Inn so he would never have to face them again. But how could a mouse leave in winter when there was snow on the ground and the wind howled? He would freeze, starve, or be blown away, or all three. Ralph shivered and pulled his tail more tightly around his body. I wonder what he's going to do. We'll find out tomorrow.